Hey everyone, welcome to the first Boomcast QuicKCAST, your newest #1 Australian source for internet news and gaming. I am your host, Sir DZ, and being the first episode, I would like to first and foremost introduce it to you and tell you why you should come back every week for more internet news. As you may have noticed if you're subscribed to the channel, the episode last night was cancelled due to technical issues as well, unfortunately. On top of this, given more unforeseen circumstances, we actually will be delaying the Boomcast until further notice. Here at the Boomcast, we certainly do try to be as consistent as possible, as disorganized as we all are on the panel, but we do all have that common interest between ourselves that we do want to give you, the audience, a consistent show every week, and we hope that we do that in an entertaining manner. But because of this, we feel as a whole that we do need to give you a little bit more, not just the one option of the actual podcast, but a summary video to go along with it. That's where this QuicKCAST comes in, and that will be every week along with the podcast. However, if we don't actually do a podcast, it will be your filler for the week. Just before we do kick things off with the episode though, I do want to quickly mention a promotion that I myself am actually involved in. It's called #LaceSup for youth off the streets. In Australia, more than 47,000 young people under the age of 25 are homeless, which actually makes up 48% of the overall homeless population. We all have that luxury of putting on a pair of shoes each and every day, but homeless youth aren't so lucky. Instead, they're forced to sleep with their shoes on at night, just to keep them warm in winter. As a youth in Australia myself, I can actually only imagine the pain and anguish that these young men and women would be going through. So today I'm here to actually ask you a favor. #LacesUp is about harnessing a simple movement in your daily routine. Tying up your laces and letting it act as a reminder for those thousands who are actually battling this cold each and every night. Thankfully, you the public can get involved in this good cause. Simply purchase these stylish blue shoelaces at the following web address. A pair of these laces are only $5 and it goes to a good cause to help youth off the streets, help those people in need. Alternatively, you can use the #LaceItUp on your Facebooks, Twitter, and Instagrams and any other social media pages just to help get this word out, spread the word of this good cause. Hashtag it and lace it up this winter. Let's help end youth homelessness. Moving on to the news this week, and we actually start on another somber note as the world grieves comedic legend Robin Williams. A truly sad week it has been, and he was the certain type of man who took the phrase being a kid at heart and personified it. He really did it without caring what anyone else thought. This whole week there has been an immense outpouring of love, condolences, and support for the Williams family during this tough time. Proudly, there have been many around the world who have paid homage to this great man. The Broadway cast Aladdin performed Friend Like Me, a famous song from the Disney movie Aladdin, in which Robin Williams actually played the hilarious genie, as a tribute to him. These tributes have even spread into Robin's love for video games. World of Warcraft's Twitter page recently confirmed that a fan-made petition to add an NPC with the likeness of Robin Williams has been passed. The petition gained 11,000 signatures within the first couple of days. When asked if the company had seen this particular petition, Chad Nervig, who is a game designer at Blizzard HQ, recently said, "Yes, and we're taking care of it." What's more is another petition is going around on Change.com, this time for developer company Nintendo to add another NPC into the game, this time named after Robin Williams in The Legend of Zelda. Robin was a big fan of the Legend of Zelda series, as he even named his daughter Zelda after Princess Zelda. As of Friday, this petition has gathered 80,000 signatures, and still counting. It really has been moving to see how much the world really does care for the man. And there are so many stories out there about him that it's really hard to believe the cause of his death. In this regard, I do want to let you know, before we do move on, that there is help available for those of you in need. Depression is a serious problem that lots of people go through every single day, but suicide is never the answer. So please, if you ever feel like you need help, contact the suicide prevention hotline at the number below. In gaming news this week, we had the European version of E3, which was held this year in Germany. Plenty was revealed, but I think the big question on everyone's mind right now is who won, Xbox or PlayStation 4. With this said, I'd like to bring up a couple of the major announcements from each of the companies, starting with Microsoft. This Gamescom, Halo seems to be the heavyweight of the division, with the Halo 5 beta being announced for December 29th this year. Unfortunately, they didn't really show too much gameplay. They just showed a bunch of cinematics. But while talking about Halo, they actually made a lot of emphasis on this new thing called the Halo Channel, which actually sounds pretty cool. It essentially is a hub which will allow you to transition from each game to game and other Halo-related experiences. So I'm sure we can expect the TV shows that have recently been announced. Also the fact that it's got a full Twitch integrated system. This will allow you to watch feeds from the Halo community, as well as upload your own Halo gameplay. Rise of the Tomb Raider was just announced, and it seems to have built up a bit of controversy already, considering that at the moment it's an Xbox One exclusive. The previously PlayStation exclusive series has come over to the Microsoft brand, and you can imagine a lot of fans aren't too happy about that. The most common comparison has been it's as if Legend of Zelda has switched teams from Nintendo to Sony, which would never happen. It's basically a massive kick in the teeth. With that said though, I do want to point out that this isn't the first time that Tomb Raider series has moved over to a different console. I mean, it actually started out on the PC. PC Master Race! And I believe after that it went to the Sega Saturn, so yeah. Now, if you like your indie games, let's head on over to Sony, as it seems like they've got a whole bunch of them over there. A whole bunch of exclusives and indie type games such as Tearaway Unfolded and the Tomorrow Children were announced. Now, Sony did have its own fair share of big titles that were announced. Games like Hellblade, which is actually made by Ninja Theory, who made Heavenly Sword. The games look fairly similar from what I've seen, and Heavenly Sword was an amazing game, so hopefully it is a good game. A bunch of in-depth looks at Destiny, Shadow of Mordor, and a very, very cool video from Hideo Kojima about Metal Gear Solid 5 featured throughout the Sony press conference. Honestly though, the one big thing that certainly piqued my interest was the new IP they closed the show off with, The Wild. It looks pretty interesting, so I'll leave the announcement trailer in the description below, so definitely check it out. It is certainly different, and to be honest, that's what I think is so interesting about it. It's what gives it potential. So, from that, the real question is, who won? Microsoft or Sony? Leave your comments and opinions down below in the chat. Personally, if I had to pick, I'm gonna have to say Microsoft and the Xbox One show, just purely because of all the AAA titles that they showed off. Not to mention all that Halo that they really emphasized. As opposed, Sony was a more indie games and Far Cry 4 DLC. Neither show really went above and beyond, and it's quite disappointing because really Gamescom should be the equivalent to what E3 is. It just felt like the literal scraps of E3 were handed down to Gamescom, and really that show should be more about those type of announcements, those big announcements that weren't ready back at E3. Personally, I felt that the biggest and best thing to come out of Gamescom was that absolutely stunning Warlords of Draenor cinematic trailer, which I'll also leave in the description below. It was just so cool, and personally it got me really vamped up and excited for the new expansion coming out later this year, November 13th. And hey, even if you aren't into WoW, it's an amazing looking cinematic you should definitely check out. Definitely worth the 5 minutes of your time. But that's a wrap for the first episode of the QuicKCAST today. Thank you guys very much for watching this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Boomcast podcasts and QuicKCASTs. And for updates on the channel, please check out our respective social network channels in the description below. Make sure you also check out the Boomcast panelists, Aaron, Frankie, and myself. Be sure to subscribe to our channels because we do other great podcasts and gameplays, so make sure you check us out there. Oh, and one more thing, actually recently in the past week, in fact, I've been streaming quite a bit on Twitch TV. I know the other panelists also stream on Twitch, So be sure to check out our Twitch pages in the description once more. We tend to stream quite a bit, so see what you think. Maybe give us a follow if you like the content. But thanks everyone for joining in and watching the show. We'll see you next time. Insert, end screen. If anyone can do that for us. Boom. Cast.